people. You'll see we had a little technical glitch. You know what I'm talking about? But mic check. There we go. Hope everybody had a real cool weekend. You know what I mean? No drinking and driving, no DWIs, no bonds in excess of $750. So yeah. But you guys know what it is. I got a real hot show for you today. What I try to do each and every time is bring you something that, maybe you weren't aware of that could better assist you in your personal life, and not even just that, we're trying to turn young men into professionals as well. But you know how we do every day. If you are of the faint-hearted, if you are of the weary, if you have a weak stomach, if criticism makes you queasy, if you're not open to correction and leveling up, becoming better than you were yesterday, this is probably not the channel for you. Because we do all of those things here, right? Yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into it though. See, I'm gonna be honest with you. I do a ton of research for you guys. A lot of people who might have wanted to try to, combat my information or things like that. The reason there's an issue is because I'm not just talking and spouting things off the top of my head. This is things that I'm probably familiar with through research. But listen, what we're talking about today, listen guys, I'm telling you now, I'm getting us closer and closer to a cure, for this random niggadry. I call it niggadry. Yeah, because we have things going on. But listen, the difference between married women / women who are in long-term relationships and single women. And trust, there's a difference. There's definitely a difference. I'm going to show you guys how to identify someone who isn't a lady nor wife material, ladylike, and then I'm going to have nerve enough to theoretically prove it to you. That's what we do. We don't just talk over here. We need to have some stats, some type of data, some type of information. We don't just ramble off propaganda over here, More than likely, if I shoot something your way, you could probably stand on it, or we're real close to the vicinity. There would never be any information dispersed over here that is far off base. So yeah. But listen, yeah, I want to touch on the difference between married women / women in long-term relationships and single women. Minus the exception for women who, might have had a bad day or something like that, but that's not their norm, right? Listen, research shows that all happy, long-lasting marriages share 5 of the same basic traits, right? Communication, commitment, kindness, acceptance, and love. I'm going to say that again. Research shows that all happy, long-lasting marriages share 5 of the same basic traits: communication, commitment, kindness, acceptance, and love. And those things can be identified, right? That's the cool thing about a lot of things. When they can be identified, that's why I don't get too much into opinion-based things, because that can go on forever, like a dog chasing its tail, right? But when we get close to things that we can identify, that's my area. I like that. One more time. Research shows that all happy, long-lasting marriages share 5 of the same basic traits: communication, commitment, kindness, acceptance, and love. Here's the issue with that. Some of you lack 4 of those in your everyday lives. Some of you lack 4 of those in your everyday lives, and it opens the door for people to be able to determine what type of individual you are. Women who you see arguing on social media with men, overall opinionated, often in an aggressive manner or something like that, especially women who you see arguing with men on social media. You are not wife material nor a lady, and odds are you're not married nor in a very serious relationship. To prove my theory, I want you to do this. I've already done it. I want you to name 10 people who you know I want you to name 10 people who you know in your head right now who are in serious marriages, or I'll even give you this. I'll even give you marriage and a serious relationship. They have to have been in a serious relationship for about 3 years, bare minimum. Bare minimum. And they have to be living together. Other than that, it's just serious. It's just marriages, right? Now, those people who just popped up in your head, do you know what all of these people have in common that I know of, the ones that I selected in my head? I never see any of their wives on social media arguing with men especially, displaying masculine aggressive energy. Think about it now. Keep those women's names in your heads. 10 people who you know who are married, and just statistically, you don't really know 10 people off the top of your head in the black community. You're going to have some trouble with that. So just think of as many as you can and think about their wives. Do they have the type of wives where you hear that they were on top of a car in the middle of the freeway twerking with a skimp bathing suit on? Do you hear about them getting into fights at the club on the weekend? Do you hear these things, the things that society is complaining about as far as black women in America? Do you hear those wives' name in the midst of a lot of that? Yeah, y'all see what it is. It's the New England Patriots. I rode with them until I got tired of them. You know, I got tired of them winning. But the thing about that is this. The reason that your answer is probably and most likely no, that you don't hear their names in these things, they have a man that they're accountable to, who they honor, who they don't want to make look bad on social media or any other platform. I want you guys to think about what I just said. This thing is going to get really deep too, just so you know. Some lives may get saved off of this, just being honest. Think about this. You know what I want you to think about? Who do you think is causing all of the ruckus out in the streets, being ratchet and classless and giving everyone in the world something to talk about as far as the black women? Do you think that it's married women or single women? Come on, you can do it. Hopefully those of us who have good sense said more than likely it's the single women. Do you know what it tells everybody? You're not covered. You're outside of the authority that you're supposed to be under, or you wouldn't even be able to be doing this and behaving like this in public. You would be getting corrected when you did. The honest truth, it's a disgrace to your man. For those of you who may even be in some type of, it's a disgrace to your man, and it's a display of how little authority he has over you. You're showing the world that he more than likely cannot control you. I check things like that out because I get a lot of responses, especially through my TikTok. There's a lot of activity on my TikTok, and people are conversing back and forth, and it gives me things to think about. But if you're a woman and you have a man and you're on social media, listen, I'm going to go so far as to say this. You're on social media arguing with other men, you'll cheat. Yeah, it's not far-fetched. If your mind can even stretch as far as to being on social media, you know, giving other men your energy, you'll fool around. It's a direct display of disgrace to him and all of what little authority he has over you. But what I do know is the mass of women that I'm talking about right now, they don't have men, or they wouldn't be behaving like this. All of the ratchet stuff that you see, you know what? Can I line this up? No, I don't have it. Again, I don't have it for you. But listen, they just had a girl in Texas on the freeway on the roof of a car twerking with a skimp bathing suit stuck between the narrow crack of her butt. More than likely, she was single. Those women the men whose wives I was just inferring about, they don't really have time to be on social media engaging energy with other men because they're at home getting tickled in the rib cage, rolling around on the ground, still giddy from the gift that he brought her when he came home from work today. You see how you can distinguish between single women and married women, or I'll even give it women who are in long-term relationships that they have been in for 3 years and they must stay in the same house. You can throw those in the pool of married too. They're not out in the streets behaving a certain way. We don't even have to argue about this. And listen, I don't do anomalies and isolated incidences. Anytime you hear me talking, I'm speaking in the majority, the realm of the majority. You can't name me 9 married women right now who are known to be causing trouble out in the middle of this, out in the streets today. You can't. Try it. I know what some of you are thinking. It's starting to sound like he has a cure to our dilemmas. Yeah, we're getting close to it. We're getting close to it. They don't have time to be demonstrating telltale signs of a single woman's behavior that you guys exhibit every day. Listen, there is no man who has his faculties together that would date a lot of you women on long-term pretense, because you have very masculine energy. You have very masculine energy. Men don't have to deal with masculine energy because it's not what we want. The only men who want masculine energy are the people who eventually go, yeah. Real men do not want masculine energy. We don't want to hear your mouth. We don't want you thinking that you're tougher, or even interpreting that you believe you're tougher than us in any aspect. It's a turnoff. Because you're a woman. Well, you're supposed to be a woman, but that's another story. Did you know, I'm going to teach you guys a lot of things that your mom didn't teach you. Listen, did you know that women aren't even supposed to be raising their voices to men like they do in today's society? Do you know that you could travel a 16-hour flight and try that, and they might be, yeah, never mind. I was about to say, yeah, we might be negotiating a release of one of their prisoners for you. You may very well go to prison or something bad happened to you. They don't tolerate that stuff in other civilized worlds. When I say civilized, they may be third world-ish type of countries, but they remain to have, they continue to have their, They continue to have their femininity intact, their submissive behavior intact, their ladylike behavior intact. They simply don't do the things that you single women do. Neither do married women, not women who are married to real men. If you know, listen, let me say this to you as well. If you know a woman friend of yours that she is allowed to talk to her husband like that, and she does kind of run it, her husband is a simp. And I'll say it to his face. I don't have to, though. He knows it, or she wouldn't be able to do it. If you know a man who can't keep his woman under control, she's going to continue to demonstrate, married, of course, she's going to demonstrate behaviors that he's already told her about. He's a simp. He's a simp. / beta male. Because see, the thing is this. A real man doesn't even allow a woman to destroy or damage or tarnish or scratch his brand. Yeah, but listen, did you know that you really, really don't have any business raising your voice to a man? You probably didn't. You're not even supposed to talk to men in a certain way. And I will give you this, granted, I'll give you this. That type of respect is reserved for particular men. Men who are respectable. Men who make valiant efforts at providing for his household. But yeah, ladies, you guys have come so far away from your biological design. You're not supposed to be talking to men any certain way. You're not even supposed to be demonstrating lewd behavior. You're a lady. Did you know that? Yeah. But you know, I don't know, because you weren't taught to be a lady who can keep a man. See, there's a difference in being able to obtain a man and to keep one. It's very clear and evident to the entire world, or else you'd have one. You're definitely not supposed to be on social media arguing with men. And if you had a man, he would bend and checked you about that a long time ago. If you have friends who are on social media who have a man, but they are aggressive, masculine type of women who argue with other men, I'll almost go so far as say even women who argue with other women on social media, it means her man is an alpha male. No, excuse me. It means her man is a beta male. Um, she wouldn't be allowed to do these things on social media, giving another man her energy or even damaging her man's brand by letting him hear things like, my God, your girl be on social media wilding out. That is not the behavior of a woman, lady, nor wife. And this is why I'm telling you guys that you're so far out of pocket because you don't have anyone sitting next to you directing you and telling you, hey, ain't you been on social media for about 3 hours now? The time that you're on social media, and for those of you women who are single, the time that you're spending on social media, which is more than likely often, imagine if you took just half of that and jumped on dating sites out there and spread your presence around on dating sites, and the other half of that time just practicing and exercising on making yourself a more pleasant, feminine woman. It would be things taking place, investments being made in your character, which is investments in your long-term future. Do you know how much more enhanced your life would be if you had a significant other and you guys lived in the same house? Do you have any clue? Statistically, women in relationships are 4 to 5 times less likely to fall victim to violence than women who aren't. Research also suggests that women who are single should have a man demonstrating his presence once. It doesn't matter, a cousin, uncle, whatever. Should have a man coming in and out of her house once to twice a month to discourage would-be burglars. That's how significant we are in your lives. That's how significant we are. And you don't understand it because you didn't get the benefits of it like your grandmothers did. It's a life builder. To have a man in your life, it's a life builder. And if you don't have one, that's your fault. Can't say that there's no good ones within your proximity. They just might not have that big package that you like about old boy and them, right? The ones that have the swag, wear their pants a certain way, wear the type of shoes that you like to be on the man. The ones that you've heard have tons of money. It's not about that. It's about enhancing your life. We're all on a life journey, and it's not supposed to be singular. We're all supposed to be on a very long journey, and that journey can get very lumpy at times. And for those times where those journeys get bumpy and lumpy, it's amazing to have somebody to take on those bumps with you. Somebody whose hand you can hold when you're experiencing the turbulence of life. You guys just don't understand this. And it's to the rest of the world, it's amazing that you don't understand it. You know why it's amazing to the rest of the world? Because they benefit from it largely every single day. And you haven't benefited from it in 15 to 20 years. Ain't that something? Listen, we're gonna hit it tonight. You ladies are so hard to deal with today, that when we see you demonstrating certain behaviors online, there's a guy that you didn't even know who's been swinging past your profile, once a week, something like that, checking you out for about a month now, vetting you because he knew he was going to get in your inbox and ask you out. And then he sees behaviors that you are demonstrating to other people online, and he changes his mind drastically, like, yeah, not today, Satan. like the ladies say. Did you know that you are a walking advertisement of your brand? You are a brand, and every day that you are associating with society, you advertise yourself. What you're advertising yourself to be is up to you. But please believe, as long as you got a heartbeat, you're telling people what they need to know about you. You may think that people don't know this and that about you, but you're crazy to even be thinking that. A gist is all someone needs. And that gist is going to come based off of your energy boomeranging back. Listen, we are all mate bait is what I like to call it. We are all mate bait, walking around fishing, attracting things. And there's going to be right bait and there's going to be wrong bait. But here's the cool part. You can tell the wrong bait. The wrong bait is easy to identify. The wrong bait is when you haven't been in a serious relationship in 10 to 15 years. That's right. That's serious evidence that there's something wrong with you, and hey, not everybody else. When you've been walking around, listen, this world is a huge, massive audience. If you're walking around life for years at a time and not compelling, there is God the Father, there is Jesus, there is mankind, and there is there is weapons, and then there is vagina. You are in the top 5 of most desirable commodities in the world, a vagina. Ladies, if you are walking around in this great big audience for years at a time, with the vagina, might I add, and you haven't compelled a man to say, I want more of her energy, I need more of her energy in my life, in 10, 15 years, even 5 years, you got a problem. If you're not having that type of impact on people, it's you. Trust and believe. You can't, and some of you even go out of town and things like that. Some of you go out of country. If you're going out of country, if you're going out of state, if you're just walking around throughout your daily life, and you're not compelling men to say, I better snatch her up before somebody else gets a hold of her. You know I don't have to finish the rest of that, right? I don't have to finish the rest of that. It's you. Listen, women who are in a relationship or single, who are on social media, mingling around with other men, giving them attention, you need to know that that's inappropriate. And there's nothing feminine about it. It's actually very masculine, and it's wrong. I see it every day through, like, especially my TikTok and my other Facebooks. It's like, and see, it's also a telltale sign to us that you're single, because if you had somebody in your life, you wouldn't even be allowed to behave like this. I don't understand it personally, though. How people get offended at information that appears to have some merit to it. It's like but I do understand that there's a certain caliber of people who are just able to grab on to solid information and use it to position themselves better in life. I understand that as well. These are the type of people who usually are not average. These are what I like to call above average people. Above average people desire to be better, and they put energy and efforts into it daily. They're not okay with their deficiencies. They're not okay with having flaws that are within their realm of correction, but just not doing it. No, those are what some would call mediocre people. If you're going to win and create a successful outcome for your life, you have to turn yourself into one of these people who want better enough for yourself that you start taking steps towards it. Once you want better, you can hear the right information and apply it to your life. It starts to linger along the lines of just how much you really want better. Some people say it, but they don't. Imagine this. Imagine a store clerk telling one of the bodegas that you go to regularly, right? You don't like dude's attitude. Imagine him telling you that the other day you dropped a lottery ticket, and it hit. He just wants like $2,000 of it hit. You never liked his attitude, though. You just you can't stand him, right? Would you still take the ticket? Yeah, we know you would. It's the exact same equivalent of what you're doing now. You've determined within your mind that you don't like a person, or you have the desire to argue or disagree with them. And because of that, you won't adhere to any of that person's information or acknowledge its validity or merit, right? Listen, let me tell you this. You're not affecting anyone but yourself. Did you know that? You're not affecting other people at all. By no stretch of the imagination. It's you who won't grow and get better results. And I promise you, the whole world will know. People right now who know you can look back and admit to themselves they can't write down, if someone asks them, over the last 5 years, what do you think significant has changed about that person? They can't say that you look like you've gotten deeper into Christ. They can't say that you stopped dressing. There's nothing significant they can say. because you don't adhere to correction, which is why you don't have a man. It's just like Kevin Samuels. There was multiple women who got past his harsh delivery, exacted his information, and got married. They're all over the internet talking about it, and you're still single. Those of you, who had your minds made up, had your minds made up that you were going to disagree with him, but you were only affecting yourself. Only affecting yourself. A lot of you women just had your minds made up. And you do it daily with all of the sound information that's floating around on the internet. The thing is, I would say this to any woman because I don't wish ill upon anyone. Like me, for instance, I don't really have to worry about that. Like I could pretty much have any woman I want. Like that's just what that is, right? I push this stuff out there so you can have that or something close to it. But there's only a couple of ways you're going to get it. You ladies are going to have to quiet your emotions. Once you quiet your emotions, you'll be better equipped to interact with people in a more pleasant manner, right? Because to be honest, there's people who are living example. It doesn't matter how cute you are, how gorgeous you are. If people aren't picking up on those pleasant, feminine, agreeable qualities, they don't want your merchandise. And I'm certain there are some of you right now who know you're pretty attractive and you've been single for 10 or 15 years. And when I say single, I don't mean the person who comes and busses you down on a regular. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about everybody's been knowing his name. His name is a fixture in your life for the last 5 years. You guys are always in public together. People know him like this. If you don't have one of those, yeah. The thing is, men want women for a reason. We already have aggressive and masculine energy, like I said. And another thing, it really doesn't matter what you run around telling people about yourself. It simply doesn't. Because you can lie, but your actions won't. Your actions and your energy will explain to people who you are in detail more accurately than you ever could. Trust. I'll go a step further and even tell you something you probably don't know. Men have ranking boxes that women go into. There's wife material, women who are just special to us. Those women we've been probably sleeping with and they mean something to us. We wouldn't dare treat them like trash, but it's not, it's been fine the way it is. And we didn't need to take that extra step, right? And then we have side pieces who know what it is and they also know it'll never be anything. Last but not least, we have bust downs that we use just for pleasure, and we hope to God nobody catches us coming out of the hotel with you. Yes, that's a box too. So, yeah, again, we have wife material women who are in our lives that we've been making love to for years, but we never just made the serious commitment with. We have side pieces, and we have bust downs that we pray to God no one ever catches us sneaking that way from you with. Yeah, and I'm just going to be honest with you. Listen, there's no way that a man can take some of you women past the bust down stage. We already know some of your characteristics and your I'm not even going to call those qualities. I call them sewer dweller person type traits, to be honest. I think some of you people's behavior is so lewd and obscene, it's like an odometer flip. It's like you flipped and you don't even know how dreadful you are. It's like you don't know. Or if you can, it's the same with the women who, everybody, just like you, we all imagine things before we jump into a situation. So it's the same with the woman who, if you can imagine, you're in her house and you're about to watch some TV and Netflix, and you just know if you're in that house with her for some consecutive hours, it's probably going to be uneasy. She probably, in your heart, she can't wait till a certain part of the movie comes on so she can disagree with it or start a debate or something. Ladies, we know who you are. We've already identified you. And the only reason we're still coming around is because we probably haven't hit yet and we're trying to. But trust and believe, as soon as we hit, nothing's going to be the same. Not going to be calling your phone as often. Definitely never going to be asking you to, Come go with me to take my kid to, yeah, you know what that is. You know your value. You know what you dish out. You know what you push out as far as energy. So yeah, a person who's in his faculties, he's not even taking his mind or his intentions towards that door at all with you. It's not something that he would even consider seriously. Listen, life is supposed to be enjoyed. But when you go on the couch and you just, like I said, just sitting next to somebody who you just know that they can't wait for an opportunity to disagree or, debate or something like that. Yeah, that's bad energy, right? That's bad energy. And the crazy part is, in my opinion, that's an easy fix. It's an easy fix. You have all of the motivation that you need. The only thing that you need to know is if no one has selected you for a serious long-term relationship in 10 or 15 years, there is no way that all of society is wrong and you're right. If you've been telling yourself that you're just not running across quality men, or the men who the type of men who are worth you, or they're not on your level, I might suggest to you that you take yourself back to the appraisal company and get a whole different appraisal for yourself, because you're probably not as valuable as you think. You should probably be looking for the janitor at the elementary school, to be honest. And I'm not trying to be funny. Some of you women are running around here with these super, super high standards. And when I see it, I'm like, does she even have any mirrors in her house? You women are atrocious. Some of you do not know that you need talking about so listen. I've heard and I've seen on social media some of these women's prerequisites for the men who qualify for them. And again, do you have any mirrors in your house? Yeah, you ladies, listen, I'm going to tell you, since nobody else has told you. A lot of you need to go get appraised over. Listen, a lot of you are also, and I know this, a lot of you are also retaining the image of the 20 years ago you, and moving around like that's the you now. No, it's not. It's not. Listen, you should not be snarking up at the guy who probably works at the Goodwill, to be honest. You're appraising yourself too high. If you've been single for 10 or 15 years, we'll go crazy with this. We'll go crazy with this. If no man has seriously locked you down in 5 years of roaming this earth, I shop on eBay sometimes, right? And I'll go to the filter, and some of the things that I want, it'll ask you to click what you want out of it. What color do you want it? What size do you want it? And I've noticed that every time I click, the number of opportunities drops. That's some of you. That's where some of your value is, but you're still shopping like you got high value. Listen, I'm going to even throw a number out there. You women who are anywhere near your 40s, you better humble yourself. And if that bus driver jumps off of that bus and wants to give you a shot, you do good to entertain him, because you already haven't been vetted and seriously locked down in 5 flat years. There's a 200 apartment unit building across the street from my house. Was built in 3. And you telling me you ain't got locked down in 5 years of roaming this earth? You better reevaluate yourself. You're not as valuable as you think. It wouldn't be without outside of the realm of possibilities. And I'm just going to say this. Don't let nobody ruin your life. But listen, now we're going to jump up to the 10-year mark. If there's not a man who has approached you for a serious relationship in 10 years, listen, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. That guy who everybody knew was on drugs, but he's been clean for about a year, that's about where your level is. It's about where you got nerve enough to be talking about, I don't want no Build-A-Bob. It's like, we need to start a foundation. Truly, we need to start a foundation where we just, partner up with Amazon, and each year we just hand out about 300,000 free mirrors, full length mirrors. Because, see, some of you people are shopping outside of your budget. And I'm not trying to shoot shots at you. I'm telling you, if you have not been locked down in like 10 years and you were born with a vagina, listen, I'm going to tell you like this. All of society is not wrong and you're right. You know, you're going to have deficiencies that are... If I've been walking around for 10 or 15 years and I haven't got locked down, more than likely I have deficiencies that are preventing me from being selected for a long-term situation. And if that's true, to be honest, you're wasting your time here on earth. You're almost here for no reason. Because the things that you were put here for, you're not fulfilling them or even experiencing them. You know, and that's kind of whack. You're turning yourself into a whole different species than you were created to be. You resemble the whole world has said it, you resemble a completely different species than what people know to be a woman. Listen. Okay, it won't come up. Yeah, I was finna show you where the woman told the dude she'll beat his mother effing A. You're starting to resemble something other than a woman is what's taking place. You're becoming angry, you're becoming bitter, things like that. You're moving outside the blueprint of the biology of a woman, to be honest. You're becoming something else. So yeah, just being honest about it, I suggest that you women start researching etiquette classes and things like that. Unlearn that disagreeable behavior that's keeping you single. You know, the problem is here's the problem. You ladies have a problem with your interpretation of things is off. Your mom never taught you how to be a lady or a wife, and everything that you women say is weak or a punk is how other women are keeping their relationships together. You call it kissing a man's ass. Other women call it being a good woman to their man. They're in relationships and marriages. You're not. Whose ideology is working better? What you call kissing a man's ass, they call it being good to their man. Are you people crazy? We're going to get into it. We're going to dig into this. Listen, you guys weren't taught anything but to carve out your own path. And you're not supposed to be moving through life carving out your own path. You're supposed to have a man. You guys are going to see what the end of the punchline of this show right here is the cure to the chaos in the black community. You're going to see it in the end. It is the cure to the chaos taking place in the black community. Maybe not even just in the black community, in all of the communities that are suffering from this modern shift. Yeah, you ladies just can't comprehend how amazing your life would be with a companion. Not even just having a companion, leaning on him, desiring to be his companion, right? You guys are supposed to be desiring this. And listen, nobody ever said it was tough. I mean, easy. There's going to be times where you may have to will yourself to be delighted by his presence today, because I'm not going to say it. Yes, I am. You know I am. He's had to get over those stretch marks. He's had to get over the fact that you got that. You see what I'm talking about? Start thinking about what all men are having to get over. Start thinking about that stuff, because we don't deteriorate too bad. We simply don't. But I'm telling you people, it's amazing to have a life companion. When life's pressures, get heavy, they don't have to live 100% on your shoulders, because 50% of them lie on the shoulders of your man who is upstairs in the bed. Even when it comes to finances, when you're not able to put money up because you're not paying all, when you're able to put money up because you're not paying all of the bills by yourself anymore. And you look every week and your savings account is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That sounds pretty dope to me. That sounds pretty dope to me. Sounds like a plan right there. Listen, before we wrap this up, I'm just going to say it. I wasn't going to, because I don't want people to take my message wrong. I want us to get on a better track. Some of you ladies have told me I'm harsh in my delivery. Hey, I don't care about that stuff. I don't care about none of that. I'm not here to be soft. We get results right here. That's all we care about is results. And I can't stress that to you guys enough. So for those of you who tell me my delivery might be harsh, I tell you, you might need a softer channel. How about that? We only do results over here. We only do results over here. But yeah, you ladies can't make it without a man. And you didn't know that, did you? Those of you who think you're making it without a man, look what the world is saying about you. Even those of you who have corporate jobs. You go into coffee shops sometimes and you demonstrate your attitude. Men are vitamins, and you are severely vitamin deficient. The whole world knows it. The whole world knows it. Pay attention to me right here. We're going to dig into it knee deep right here. Man is your sole purpose of existing. We are your sole purpose for being created. Now, if you want to get biblical on me, well, you probably don't. The average person, 90% of you don't read the Bible, but I do. You belong to us. Your sole purpose is us. Watch me prove it to you. My favorite candle is burning out, and the glass is kind of hot. If y'all knew how this candle smelled, y'all be jocking right now, for real. But check me out. Listen. You ladies cannot make it without a man. We are your sole purpose. It's interesting that this is never preached about or talked about much in the churches or even in society. The Bible doesn't directly mention woman as having a direct connection to God. This is finna get really, 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 really sharp. Dagger sharp. I just want to demonstrate to you what your purpose is and let you know that you're out of your, prove to you that you're out of your purpose. The Bible simply does not really mention woman as having a direct connection to God. There's not too many stories where there was a woman who had this type of relationship with God and where God used her and talked to her, things like that, like he did with Moses and Noah and things like that. Like those of you know who know the Bible. If I'm wrong, because I don't want to be wrong, I don't get in. I have a big thing with misquoting the Bible. I'm not about that life. But those of you who can disagree me, write it down in the comments. Do you know what the Bible says? The Bible says that a woman is supposed to stay silent in the church. It also says if she wants to learn, let her learn at home from her husband. But in the church, she is supposed to stay silent. Just Google that up. The Bible says a woman is not to have authority over man. Listen, not only does it say that in the Bible, but it also describes the power dynamic as this. Jesus is the head of man. Man is the head of woman. And God is the head of Jesus. Listen, he put us even between you and him. Now, I can only tell you what it says. If the Bible is correct, somebody correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I've read the Bible many times. I've never seen anywhere where God had a direct relationship with any woman or used that woman like he used Noah, Adam, and I've never seen that. There's not much activity between God and woman in the entire Bible. It's not to cut anyone down or make us look this to you. It's nothing about that. It's just to let you know your place is 100% us. Listen to me. If the Bible says that a woman is not even supposed to speak, but be silent in church, and if she wants to get her understanding and learn it from her man, that means we are your power core. That means you're supposed to get even your knowledge of God from us. I need you ladies to think about this. I'm going to research it to make sure I'm right because I don't like misquoting anything. But listen, the order of the Bible is clear. This is God's Bible. This is not my Bible. The Bible says this. The power dynamic is Jesus is the head of man, man is the head of woman, and God is the head of Jesus. I need you to think about that order. And it's not even just that order. If you look at the scriptures where he says a woman is not to speak in church, but to be silent. And if she is to learn, let her learn at home from her husband. We are clearly in charge of you. You know how I know? Because when we were living that way, everything was better. We were married at an 80% ratio. When we got outside of it, and women got the right to do as they feel as they're moved, it dropped to 17%. 30% of the children in the United States are calling the wrong man dad. Like, you guys got clear out of pocket once we start living opposite of the Bible. Not even just the Bible, just the power dynamic. You are clearly under authority of man. And for those of you whose life isn't where you want it, who probably have to call certain numbers when you got that itch that needs scratched, opposed to just being able to roll over and touch your man. Those of you who have to pay the bills and you're going through those things, baby girl, because you're all the way outside of the power dynamic that you're supposed to be in. And there's a lot of chaos taking place in your life. Listen, do you know how much more, after hearing this, you probably won't admit to it, but after hearing this, do you know how much more dependent you are supposed to be up under our authority? You're supposed to get your everything from us as we get it from Jesus, as he gets his from God. I never like to misquote the Bible, so like I said, if there's any error in anything I said, take this to your pastor. And what you get from him, hit me in the comments. Let me know that I was wrong, which I'm not going to be wrong. I'm just being honest. I've read, it's just what it reads, and I have faith enough to believe in the Bible, so I have faith enough to stand firmly on what it says. That's just what it reads. You're supposed to be way more dependent on us than you even know. If you're supposed to be dependent upon us on a plus 10, you're negative 10. So it means basically you're dying. And as we look around the world, you are dying. You are. That's why you're going through the hell that you're going through right now. You're rated the most undesirable woman to deal with on the entire planet when it comes to relationships by multiple surveys. And it's understandable because you're so far outside of the structure that you're supposed to be attached to. You ladies are supposed to do what we tell you to do, but men have to be healed from their things in order for that to be applicable. I wouldn't advise anyone to go get with a drug dealer and say, lead me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because that's setting yourself up for failure. But you are supposed to be under the authority of a man. Like I said, even if it's a man who used to be on drugs, if he's been clean a year and you can see the goodness in him, you better attach yourself to that man. I think you guys are crazy. You'd rather go 10 or 15 years being single, not having anyone to roll over and touch, than to grab someone who you think is subpar to you. He can't be too subpar to you because, listen, ladies, you do not know a man who's within their right faculties, who doesn't have an addiction, who cannot go get married within the next 3 months. You don't know one. You don't know one. So he can't be too subpar. He can go get married. You've been walking through here for 10, 15 years and no one's locked you down. Probably something more wrong with you than it is with him. Suck on that for a minute. I know it's bitter, but the truth is the truth. The truth of the matter is, not only are you guys out of your place, you're extremely far from your place. You tried to cut God's order of access and go around us. That's what you tried to do. You actually did. God said you were supposed to come to us when you wanted to learn things about the spiritual world, things that you need to, find out how to please God more. But you call yourself going directly to him through the church. Ain't that something? And for those of you who would say, why would I gamble my entire soul and my faith on listening to a man without trying to secure my soul, my relationship, my soul by myself, and establish a relationship with God myself? That's what you're doing already. You're just putting all of your faith into a man who isn't your man. You're putting all of your soul's faith and your eternal resting place in the hands of a man who belongs to somebody else. Your pastor. And if your pastor, listen, we're going to get deeper. If your pastor was really serious about his faith in God, if your pastor was really standing firm on the Bible, this is my opinion now. In my opinion, if he was really abiding by what the Bible says, he would be standing firm on prohibiting women to speak in the church and possibly even hold certain positions. I mean, the Bible only says what it says. 90% of you don't even read the Bible on a regular, which means more than likely everybody who's listening to this hasn't read the Bible in a week. You just depend on what your pastor says, and that's a heck of a lot of faith and trust to be gambling on your soul on the word of a man who's not even your man. I'm gonna say that again. You depend on majority 100% of your faith in God. You depend on what your pastor says, and that's a ton of trust to be putting in a man who's not even your man. You're more loyal to your pastor and the church than you are to men, husbands, or anything. Yeah, it's crazy. Ladies, you're walking around without your most vital organ, which is why there is so much chaos taking place in your life. You're basically walking around saying, I don't need my heart and my lungs. That's the equivalent of what you guys say when you say, I don't need a man. Walking around without a heart and a lungs. Ladies, you better go find a way to make yourself whole again with a man. Because you are not whole without a man. You are actually a broken toy. Me. Listen, I believe this. I believe everybody who's single is a damaged toy, a cracked wine glass. That's what I believe. Even me. You know how much better I could be doing if I had a wife? If I had somebody active in my life? Yeah. We complete each other. I'm going to tell you guys this. This is something that I've deduced. Listen. Black women are behaving extremely terrible, but they aren't terrible people. Black women are just kids whose parents left them the house for the weekend while they went on vacation. What do kids whose parents left them the house for the weekend typically do? Everything they can think of. Look at the comparison to how black women are acting out there in society. But here's the thing. What do those kids do? Typically, like when we were in school and parents would give us the house for the weekend, what do we do the day before the parents are coming back home? Snap right back into the old selves. The mental capacity starts working correctly again. Get the house back in order. Start cleaning up cups. Start vacuuming. Essentially, they get themselves back together. Ladies, men are the parents that are coming home. And it is us that is required in order to snap you back in shape. You can't even do it by yourself. All statistics point to it. All statistics. Listen, I couldn't figure out what was going on. I measured how far out of pocket our women are at such a massive scale, right? Um, that's reaching such a huge number. And when I not measured, but I hypothesized, I put some comparisons together and measured what could be responsible for such a huge epidemic. The only other numbers that correlated with the audience that large was also the number of unmarried black women that are in the United States. 75% of black women are children who were given the house for the weekend. That's why you see them behaving like they're behaving. Guess what'll get them back in order? The parents come home. I hope you guys can pick through tonight's show and take some of this good stuff, which I should have charged $50,000 for, and apply it to your life. Because listen, everything I've been telling you guys, this stuff is real. I can pull the data up, or I wouldn't have this to say to you if I didn't already know about the data, right? But listen, we're gonna get out of here. The noise. Like always, let's do better than we did yesterday. Check this out. Imagine if we really did put effort towards doing better than we did yesterday, every day, this whole year. Just something to think about.